Hi, I'm Jerry James Stone. In today's video, we're gonna make these delicious spiced cashews. They have rosemary, chili powder. They're just spicy and flavorful, slightly sweet. I think you're gonna love them, so let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing we need to do before we do anything is we're gonna toast our cashews. It's best to start off with raw cashews that have not been salted, but if you can't find those are still doable. Don't worry. So if you have roasted cashews that already have some seasoning to them, I'll let you know how to adjust the recipe along the way. But basically, raw, unsalted is the best to start with. So we're just gonna roast them ourselves. Just wanna spread the cashews out in a single layer. And then we're gonna put it in a preheated oven and roast them for about 15 minutes. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is chop up some rosemary. So we're gonna use fresh rosemary in this recipe, and I'm gonna show you a fun little hack that I have for easily peeling rosemary. Okay, so if you've ever had to de-stem a lot of rosemary, you know it can be a little bit laborious. So what I like to use is a fork. It makes it really simple. Just take the fork. Because the tongs of the fork, the way that they're shaped, it gets sort of like narrower towards the bottom. It works for any kind of rosemary, whether it's like a big stalk or a smaller one. Slide the fork in there, and this, boom, pulls it right off. Simple as that. Makes it really quick and easy to remove all the leaves from a lot of rosemary. Okay, so we de-stemmed the rosemary, use my little fork trick. Now we're just gonna mince it. So we've chopped up our rosemary. Now we're gonna make our glaze. We're gonna start off with melting a little bit of butter. It's already softened from the heat in the kitchen, so it should melt quickly. Okay, so the butter's melted. Now I'm gonna add in a little bit of water. And then I'm gonna add in our brown sugar. So what I'm basically doing is using the water and the butter to help dissolve the brown sugar, which is sort of needed. You need that moisture to like dissolve it, but it'll then bake off and you'll get sort of more of a dense sugary flavor with the final product. The liquid and the heat both help with that. So once the brown sugar kind of dissolves, we're gonna bring it to a little bit of a low simmer just to make sure that all of those ingredients are combined. You don't wanna overstir that. So this mixture, because there's sugar involved, if you overwork it, it'll crystallize. So just want enough to like keep it mixed together. Let it simmer a little bit. You're kind of essentially creating a caramel right now. In fact, it'll smell like caramel. So just let that simmer for about a minute. So now I'm gonna mix in the other ingredients. So I'm gonna start with the chili powder. I'm gonna add in my salt. Now, if you had to buy roasted and salted cashews, you definitely would wanna reduce the salt. So I would cut the salt in half for like what I'm actually using. And now I'm gonna add in the freshly chopped rosemary. So I'm just gonna add the caramel that we just made to a mixing bowl so I can toss in the cashews. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and add in our roasted cashews. Okay, so now we're just gonna mix the cashews in the caramel until they're fully coated. It smells so good. It's like rosemary and chili and sugar and butter. What else do you need? Maybe some bourbon. Okay, so we're gonna transfer the coated cashews to a parchment-lined baking sheet. So this is really important. You really want, now you could grease the baking sheet, but I find that parchment paper works a lot better. You just wanna make sure that you have something on there, because if you don't, your nuts are gonna stick to the pan, and you don't want your nuts to stick, trust me. And I meant to say it that way, yes. So just get your cashews spread out onto the baking sheet. And then you're gonna spread them out into a single layer. So now we're gonna roast them at 350 degrees for about 6 minutes, just so they're nicely coated. Okay, so my nuts are roasted. They're glazed too, and they're ready to chow down on. Yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, this recipe is great. So once you take them out of the oven, you wanna let them cool for about 20 minutes, and then you can store them in an airtight container, and they'll last for about 3 weeks. But you know, who doesn't wanna just dive into warm nuts, right? So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you like to cook like I do, I release new videos every single week, and if you have a comment or something that you wanna see, drop a comment below. I'll see you guys next time.